The safety of everyday citizens in our country is currently hanging by a very thin thread, as a fresh wave of massive kidnappings and religious ultimatums has completely gripped the nation. From the dense forests of the northeast to the central areas of Niger State, heavily armed factions are growing bolder by the day, turning quiet communities into absolute zones of fear. Just recently, shocking intelligence reports and circulating videos confirmed that a notorious armed group successfully invaded several villages in the Bogu local government area. During this massive raid, they did not just destroy property, they forcefully gathered and abducted well over 100 people, specifically targeting vulnerable women and children. This terrifying event comes right on the heels of another massive school kidnapping in the same region, where armed men stormed a boarding school and took hundreds of young students away into the wilderness. While many of those students were eventually freed after weeks of intense negotiations in the remote bush, the trauma left behind is completely unimaginable. The fact that these massive groups can coordinate such large-scale abductions so close to the nation's capital shows a deeply concerning shift in their operational power, proving that the crisis is no longer just confined to the distant borders of Borno State. Families are going to sleep at night with one eye open, terrified that the sound of motorcycles might mean their loved ones are about to be taken away. While the central regions battle this massive kidnapping epidemic, a completely different but equally terrifying nightmare is unfolding in the northeastern parts of the country. The armed faction known as the Islamic State West Africa Province has launched a highly aggressive and targeted campaign that threatens to completely destroy the peaceful coexistence of different faiths in our communities. Using their own digital newsletters and propaganda networks, this group has issued a direct, uncompromising threat to Christian communities, specifically in places like Adamawa and Borno states. The ultimatum is chilling and very simple. They are demanding that Christians must abandon their faith and convert, pay a heavy subjugation tax just to stay alive, or face terrible consequences. And they have unfortunately proven that these are not empty threats. In recent weeks, these fighters have invaded farming villages, burning down places of worship and destroying hundreds of homes. Innocent farmers who simply went to their lands to harvest crops to feed their families were attacked because they refused to comply with these extreme demands. This targeted aggression has created a massive wave of displaced people, forcing thousands to abandon their ancestral homes and crowd into temporary camps where food and medicine are incredibly scarce. As we look deeper into how these tragic events are pulling powerful foreign governments into our national affairs, I want to take a quick pause to connect with you. If you appreciate getting the absolute truth about our national security delivered without any sugarcoating or fake rumors, please take just one brief second to hit the like button. Liking this video is the absolute best way to ensure the algorithm shares this vital information with other patriotic citizens who truly need to know what is happening in our country. Also, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell right now. We work tirelessly to track these fast-moving events and bring you verified, straight-to-the-point updates every single day, and we rely entirely on your amazing support to keep this platform running. So please join our growing family before we discuss the massive diplomatic earthquake that just hit the capital city of Abuja. The sheer scale of these abductions and the targeted religious attacks have finally caused the international community to step out of the shadows and take direct action. The United States government is now placing unprecedented diplomatic pressure squarely on the shoulders of the political leaders in Abuja. In an incredibly bold move, United States Representatives Riley Moore and Chris Smith recently introduced a brand new piece of legislation called the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act of 2026. This is not just a regular diplomatic warning. This is a heavy legislative action designed to force the United States Secretary of State to closely monitor and report exactly how the Nigerian government is handling this massive crisis. Representative Moore publicly stated that the days of the global community looking away while innocent people are targeted for their faith and dragged into the forests are completely over. The lawmakers in Washington are heavily criticizing the authorities in Abuja, claiming that the government's continued denial of the targeted nature of these attacks is only allowing the violence to spread further. This new act is demanding full accountability, meaning that the United States is essentially putting our national security architecture under a massive global microscope. This intense foreign pressure creates a very complicated situation for our leaders. On one hand, the government is trying to project strength and assure the citizens that the military is actively conducting clearance operations to rescue the abducted victims and secure the farming communities. On the other hand, the introduction of the 2026 Accountability Act by American lawmakers sends a very loud message to the world that the international community does not fully trust the current strategies being used to protect vulnerable citizens. With over 100 innocent people currently missing from the Borgu region, school children constantly under threat, and entire religious communities being forced to choose between their faith and their lives, the stakes have never been higher. This brings us to a very crucial discussion that every citizen needs to be part of. Looking at the massive scale of these kidnappings and the bold ultimatums being issued by these armed factions, do you genuinely believe that our local security forces have the necessary resources and intelligence to finally crush this insurgency on their own? Or do you agree with the United States lawmakers that heavy international intervention and strict accountability laws are the only ways to force a real change and save these targeted communities? Please take a few moments to go down into the comment section and drop your honest, highly detailed thoughts. Your unique perspective is an incredibly vital part of this national conversation, and sharing your views helps us all understand the best way forward for our beloved country.